Have you ever felt like there's a hidden force at play, subtly influencing your decisions, shaping your perceptions, and dictating your reactions to the world? A silent architect within your very skull, constantly working behind the scenes, yet rarely understood. For most of us, our brains remain a mysterious black box, a complex organ whose true capabilities and quirks remain largely unexamined. We navigate our lives driven by impulses, beliefs, and patterns, often unaware of the profound neurological currents that steer our course. But what if you could pull back the curtain? What if you could peer into the inner workings of this incredible biological machine and uncover the hidden truths that govern your potential? Imagine for a moment that your brain is like a vast, ancient library, filled with countless volumes of wisdom and power. Yet you've only ever browsed the dusty shelves of the entrance hall. You might pick up a few familiar titles, read a few well-worn passages, but the true treasures, the profound insights, and the transformative knowledge remain locked away in forgotten corners, waiting to be discovered. This isn't just a metaphor. It's the reality of how most of us interact with our own minds. We operate on autopilot, driven by ingrained neural pathways and subconscious biases, rarely tapping into the immense, untapped potential that lies dormant within us. The journey we're about to embark on is not just about accumulating facts. It's about a deep shift in your mindset and perception. It's about empowering you to become a more conscious architect of your own reality, to understand why you think, feel, and behave the way you do, and crucially, how to gently guide these processes towards a life of greater fulfillment and positive impact. We're going to peel back the layers, one by one, to reveal 15 profound insights into the human brain that will illuminate the intricate dance between your thoughts, emotions, and actions. These aren't abstract academic concepts. These are practical, tangible truths that, once understood, can fundamentally alter your approach to challenges, relationships, and even your own sense of self. Think about the times you've been stuck in a negative thought loop, or found yourself inexplicably drawn to certain choices, or perhaps struggled to break free from unhelpful patterns. The answers, more often than not, lie in the often overlooked mechanics of your brain. From the subtle ways your mind predicts the future, to the astonishing capacity it has to literally rewire itself. These revelations will provide you with a powerful toolkit for personal blossoming. You'll learn how your cravings are orchestrated, why certain social dynamics exert such a strong pull, and even how your physical posture can influence your deepest thoughts. This isn't just about gaining knowledge, it's about gaining power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. The power to cultivate resilience, to enhance creativity, to build stronger connections, and to navigate the complexities of life with greater wisdom and grace. Each truth we uncover will act as a key, unlocking a new facet of your potential, allowing you to move beyond limiting beliefs and embrace a more expansive understanding of who you are and what you're capable of achieving. Prepare to look at your own mind and the minds of others through an entirely new lens. This journey promises not just information, but transformation. It's time to unlock the hidden truths of your brain and, in doing so, unlock your true potential. Have you ever found yourself reacting to a situation before it even fully unfolds? Or perhaps felt a surge of anxiety about an upcoming event, even when there's no immediate threat? This isn't just your imagination or an overactive nervous system. It's your brain's remarkable, often unconscious, ability to predict the future From the mundane act of catching a ball to the complex dynamics of social interaction, your brain is constantly running simulations, making educated guesses, and preparing you for what it anticipates will happen next. But what if this incredible, predictive power, while essential for survival, is also subtly limiting your present experiences and shaping your perception of reality? The psychological concept at play here is often referred to as predictive coding or predictive processing. In essence, your brain isn't merely a passive recipient of sensory information from the outside world. Instead, it's an active, proactive prediction machine. It constructs internal models of the world based on past experiences and then constantly compares these models with incoming sensory data. When there's a match, everything feels smooth and predictable. When there's a mismatch, and prediction error occurs, and your brain works tirelessly to either update its model or explain away the discrepancy. This isn't just about simple reflexes. It extends to your emotions, your thoughts, and your perception of events. To understand the mechanism, picture your brain as a highly sophisticated forecasting agency. It gathers vast amounts of data every past interaction, every learned lesson, every memory, and uses this data to generate a continuous stream of hypotheses about what's likely to happen in the very next moment, the next hour, or even the next day. When you reach for a cup, your brain isn't just reacting, it's predicting the weight, the texture, the precise movements needed to grasp it. When you enter a familiar room, it predicts where the furniture will be, the lighting, the general atmosphere. This predictive power allows for incredible efficiency, enabling you to navigate the world smoothly and make rapid decisions without conscious effort. It's why an experienced driver can anticipate traffic flow, or a seasoned chef can instinctively gauge cooking times. However, the why and how of this mechanism also reveal its double-edged nature. This predictive ability, while a cornerstone of intelligence and adaptation, can also become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If your brain consistently predicts negative outcomes or perceives threats where none exist, it will prime your body and mind to respond accordingly. For instance, if you've had negative experiences with public speaking, your brain might consistently predict failure, triggering anxiety even before you step onto the stage. Your body tenses, your voice trembles, and these physical reactions can then confirm the initial negative prediction, creating a vicious cycle. Similarly, in social interactions, if you predict judgment from others, you might unintentionally project an awkwardness or defensiveness that elicits the very reaction you feared. This isn't manipulation. It's a fundamental way your brain operates, constantly validating its internal models. The consequences and impact of this predictive mechanism are profound. On the positive side, understanding predictive coding allows you to harness your brain's natural tendencies. Athletes use mental rehearsal to predict successful movements, strengthening neural pathways. Musicians visualize perfect performances, training their brains for execution. In daily life, consciously anticipating positive outcomes can prime your brain for success, influencing your mood, your focus, and your overall approach. On the negative side, unchecked negative predictions can lead to chronic anxiety, self-sabotage, and a distorted view of reality. It can make you interpret ambiguous situations in the worst possible light, or cause you to overlook opportunities because your brain has already decided they won't work out. This isn't just about optimism. It's about recognizing that your internal predictions are powerful filters through which you experience the world. So, how do you apply this knowledge and future-proof your mind? The key lies in consciously influencing your brain's predictive models. One powerful technique is reframing. When faced with an uncertain situation that triggers negative predictions, actively reframe it by focusing on potential positive outcomes or learning opportunities. For example, instead of predicting a difficult conversation will end in conflict, predict a constructive dialogue. Another strategy is evidence gathering. Your brain updates its models based on evidence. If your brain insists on a negative prediction, consciously seek out counter-evidence. Remember times you succeeded against the odds, or when a feared situation turned out to be benign. Engage in small, safe experiments that contradict your negative predictions to retrain your brain. Crucially, practice mindfulness to separate present reality from your brain's predictions. When anxiety or fear arises, ask yourself, is this a real threat in this moment, or is my brain predicting a future problem? This creates a crucial pause, allowing you to observe your thoughts and feelings without immediately identifying with them. Finally, cultivate a growth mindset. Embrace the idea that your abilities and circumstances are not fixed, and your brain's predictions can be changed. This open stance provides the neural flexibility needed for your brain to update its models more readily, making it less rigid in its forecasting. By understanding and subtly influencing your brain's predictive power, you don't just react to the future, you actively shape your preparedness for it, unlocking a deeper sense of control and resilience. Have you ever felt trapped by old habits? Convinced that that's just how I am? Or perhaps struggled to learn a new skill, believing your brain was simply too old or not wired that way? For a long time, science echoed these sentiments, suggesting the adult brain was a static, fixed entity, largely immutable after childhood. But what if this deeply ingrained belief, this seemingly unshakable truth, was in fact one of the most significant limitations we've placed upon ourselves? What if the very structure of your brain, its intricate network of connections, is in a constant state of flux, capable of profound change and adaptation throughout your entire life? This revolutionary truth is known as neuroplasticity, and it's arguably one of the most exciting discoveries in modern neuroscience. Simply put, neuroplasticity is your brain's astonishing ability to reorganize itself, both physically and functionally, in response to experience, learning, and even damage. It means that every thought you think, every skill you learn, every habit you form, whether good or bad, literally reshapes your brain. It's not a rigid, fixed machine. It's a dynamic, ever-evolving landscape. To grasp the mechanism, imagine your brain not as a pre-built house with fixed rooms and hallways, but as an endlessly reconfigurable Lego city. Every time you learn something new, practice a skill, or even shift your perspective, you're not just adding new pieces, you're strengthening existing connections, pruning away unused ones, or even building entirely new pathways. Neurons that fire together, wire together. This fundamental principle means that repeated thoughts, actions, and emotions create stronger neural circuits, making those patterns more likely to be triggered in the future. For example, if you consistently practice a musical instrument, the areas of your brain responsible for motor control and auditory processing will literally grow and become more efficient. Conversely, if you stop using a particular skill, those neural connections can weaken over time, much like a path through a field becoming overgrown if no one walks on it. This continuous process of rewiring happens at a microscopic level, involving changes in synaptic strength, the formation of new synapses, and even the birth of new neurons in certain brain regions. The consequences and impact of understanding neuroplasticity are nothing short of life-altering. For decades, the prevailing wisdom limited our beliefs about learning, recovery from injury, and overcoming ingrained behaviors. Neuroplasticity shatters these limitations. It means that learning a new language in your 60s is not only possible, but beneficial for brain health. It means recovery from stroke or brain injury, once thought to be limited, can be significantly enhanced through targeted rehabilitation that encourages the brain to reroute functions. Most importantly, for personal development, it means that you are not condemned to your past habits or mental patterns. Whether it's overcoming anxiety, building confidence, or cultivating a more positive outlook, the physical substrate of your thoughts and feelings can be intentionally reshaped. This knowledge instills a profound sense of agency, revealing that you hold the power to literally sculpt your own mind. So, how can you apply this profound truth and actively rewire your reality? The key lies in consistent, intentional action that encourages the brain to build the pathways you desire. One powerful application is deliberate practice. This isn't just mindlessly repeating an action, it's focused, attentive practice where you push beyond your comfort zone and receive feedback. Whether it's perfecting a golf swing, mastering a new software, or improving your communication skills, deliberate practice actively reshapes the neural circuits involved. Another crucial strategy is mindfulness and attention. What you pay attention to strengthens. By consciously directing your focus towards positive thoughts, desired outcomes, or new learning, you are literally reinforcing those neural pathways. If you spend your days dwelling on worries, those neural pathways for worry become stronger. By shifting your attention, you redirect your brain's resources. Furthermore, embrace novelty and challenge. Your brain thrives on new experiences. Learning a new skill, traveling to a new place, or even taking a different route to work can stimulate neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons, and strengthen existing connections. Finally, leverage visualization. Your brain often struggles to differentiate between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Athletes use visualization to practice perfect performance, strengthening the same neural circuits as physical practice. You can use this to reinforce positive behaviors, overcome fears, or prepare for challenging situations. Imagine yourself successfully navigating a difficult conversation or achieving a long-term goal. The more vividly and consistently you do this, the more you're laying down the neural groundwork for that reality. The takeaway is clear. Your brain is not fixed. It is a living, breathing, adaptable organ, constantly evolving. By understanding and consciously engaging with its remarkable capacity for neuroplasticity, you gain the ultimate power to reshape your mind and, in doing so, truly rewire your reality. Have you ever found yourself endlessly scrolling through social media, even when you know you should be doing something else? Or perhaps you felt an irresistible urge for a particular snack, a new purchase, or a fleeting moment of distraction. It's a common human experience to feel pulled by desires that seem to operate beyond our conscious control. A relentless pursuit of something that promises satisfaction, yet often delivers only a fleeting sense of relief before the craving resurfaces. But what if there was a hidden neurological circuit in your brain? A powerful reward pathway that dictates many of your daily motivations. And understanding its mechanics could empower you to truly master your desires instead of being driven by them. The core concept at play here is the dopamine loop, also known as the reward pathway. Dopamine is not just a pleasure chemical, as it's often mislabeled. Its primary role is to drive seeking, motivation, and anticipation of reward, not the reward itself. It's the chemical signal that says, hey, something important is about to happen. Pay attention and pursue it. When you anticipate something pleasurable or beneficial, whether it's food, a social connection, an achievement, or even the ping of a new notification, your brain releases dopamine, prompting you to act to obtain that reward. This ancient system evolved to help us survive and reproduce by motivating us to seek out essential resources. To understand its mechanism, imagine a complex and highly efficient tracking and pursuit system within your brain. When you encounter a cue associated with a reward e.g., seeing a notification icon, smelling fresh coffee, thinking about a goal, your brain's ventral tegmental area, VTA, releases dopamine into other areas, notably the nucleus accumbens and the prefrontal cortex. This surge of dopamine creates a feeling of intense motivation and anticipation, a compelling urge to pursue the perceived reward. It's not necessarily about the enjoyment of the reward itself, but the desire for it. Once the reward is obtained, there's often a small spike in dopamine, but crucially, the system quickly recalibrates, seeking the next reward. This creates a powerful, often subconscious, cycle. Cue, craving, response, reward, reinforcement. The more uncertain the reward, think of gambling or endless social media feeds, the more potent the dopamine release in anticipation, making the seeking behavior even more addictive. Your brain loves novelty and unpredictability because it promises new opportunities for reward. The consequences and impact of this loop are far-reaching. On the one hand, it's the engine of human progress and achievement. It motivates us to learn, to innovate, to build, and to connect. It drives athletes to train, artists to create, and scientists to discover. On the other hand, a hijacked dopamine loop can lead to compulsive behaviors, addiction, and chronic dissatisfaction. In our modern world, filled with instant gratification and engineered stimuli like endless feeds, highly palatable foods, and constant notifications, this system can be overstimulated, leading to a constant state of wanting without true fulfillment. We become dopamine junkies, endlessly chasing the next hit, neglecting deeper, more meaningful sources of satisfaction. It's why you can feel compelled to buy something you don't need, or continue a habit you want to break. Your brain is caught in the powerful grip of anticipation. So, how do you master your motivations and take control of this potent neurological force? The first step is awareness. Recognize when your dopamine system is being triggered. Is that urge to check your phone truly a conscious choice? Or is it a conditioned response to a notification cue? Second, practice dopamine fasting, or strategically reducing your exposure to easy, high dopamine activities. This isn't about deprivation, but about recalibrating your system so that less stimulating, more fulfilling activities become more rewarding. This might mean setting specific times for social media, avoiding highly processed foods, or scheduling periods of focused, uninterrupted work. Third, delay gratification. By consciously putting a small barrier between the cue and the response, you weaken the automatic loop. If you want to check your phone, put it in another room for 5 minutes. If you crave a specific snack, tell yourself you can have it in an hour. This pause creates space for your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, to override the impulsive dopamine-driven desire. Fourth, re-engineer your environment to make desired behaviors easier and undesired behaviors harder. If you want to read more, leave a book open on your pillow. If you want to scroll less, delete social media apps from your home screen. Finally, cultivate process-based rewards. Instead of only focusing on the end goal, the reward, find ways to make the journey itself rewarding. Break down large tasks into smaller steps and celebrate the completion of each step. This trains your dopamine system to find satisfaction in the effort, not just the outcome, fostering sustainable motivation and allowing you to truly unlock your potential by mastering the powerful currents of desire within you. Have you ever noticed how, once you have an idea or belief, the world seems to suddenly offer endless proof that you're right? Or how two people, witnessing the exact same event, can walk away with vastly different interpretations, each utterly convinced of their own version of truth? It's a phenomenon that plays out in our daily lives, from political debates to personal arguments, often leaving us baffled by others' inability to see what's obvious. But what if this isn't a flaw in their perception, but rather a deeply ingrained, subconscious tendency within all of us? A hidden filter that shapes our reality. This pervasive cognitive tendency is known as confirmation bias. In essence, it's our brain's natural inclination to seek out, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms or supports our pre-existing beliefs, hypotheses, or expectations. It's not a deliberate act of deception. It's a mental shortcut, a way for our brains to process the overwhelming amount of information we encounter every day by fitting it into familiar frameworks. We don't just see the world as it is, we see it as we are, or rather, as we expect it to be. To understand the mechanism, imagine your brain as a highly efficient, albeit somewhat biased, research librarian. When you hold a belief, say, that a particular brand is superior, or that a certain group of people behaves in a specific way, or even that you are bad at math, your internal librarian doesn't seek out all available evidence. Instead, it preferentially looks for books information that support your existing viewpoint, while subtly overlooking, downplaying, or even misinterpreting books that contradict it. For example, if you believe a certain stock will perform well, you'll pay more attention to positive news about that company and dismiss negative reports as anomalies. If you think someone is untrustworthy, you'll focus on their suspicious behaviors and ignore instances of their reliability. This isn't a conscious conspiracy. It's an automatic filtering process. Our brains crave consistency and predictability, and confirmation bias helps maintain a coherent, though not always accurate, internal narrative. It feels comfortable to be right, and our brains are wired to pursue that comfort, even at the cost of objective truth. The consequences and impact of confirmation bias are profound and far-reaching, both personally and societally. On a personal level, it can lead to flawed decision-making, as we base our choices on incomplete or skewed information. It can solidify stereotypes, fuel prejudice, and create echo chambers in our personal lives and online interactions, where we only engage with people and information that validate our existing views. This can lead to increased polarization and a diminished capacity for empathy or understanding different perspectives. Professionally, it can blind leaders to crucial feedback, lead to disastrous project failures, and stifle innovation. It's why doctors might cling to an initial diagnosis, even when new symptoms emerge, or why investors might double down on a losing stock. The negative impact is that it prevents us from updating our mental models, trapping us in outdated or incorrect understandings of the world. The positive impact, however, lies in understanding it once aware. You can begin to actively counter its influence, opening yourself to new information and more accurate perceptions. So, how do you see beyond your filters and apply this understanding to unlock your potential? The first and most crucial step is conscious awareness. Simply knowing that confirmation bias exists and that your brain is susceptible to it is half the battle. When you feel strongly about something or find yourself dismissing opposing viewpoints, pause and ask, am I seeking to confirm my existing belief, or am I truly open to new information? Second, actively seek disconfirming evidence. This is the opposite of what your brain naturally wants to do. If you have a strong opinion, make a conscious effort to find reputable sources or engage with individuals who hold opposing views. Don't just skim, truly try to understand their rationale. This deliberate effort forces your brain to engage with information that challenges its existing patterns. Third, practice intellectual humility. Recognize that your current understanding might be incomplete or even incorrect. Be willing to admit when you're wrong and view new information not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth and refinement of your worldview. This requires a strong sense of self-security that isn't tied to always being right. Fourth, engage in devil's advocacy, either internally or with a trusted friend. When making an important decision, actively argue against your preferred option or challenge your strongest belief. What are the weaknesses? What are the counter-arguments? This forces your brain to explore alternative perspectives. Finally, foster a questioning mindset. Instead of consuming information passively, ask critical questions. What assumptions are being made here? What evidence is missing? Is there another way to interpret this data? By actively challenging your own filters, you not only make better decisions but also cultivate a more accurate, nuanced, and open understanding of yourself and the vast, complex world around you. Have you ever found yourself performing an action without even thinking about it? Perhaps reaching for your phone the moment you wake up, or biting your nails when stressed, or even driving home on autopilot, barely remembering the turns you took. These aren't just random acts. They are the subtle, powerful currents of habit, deeply embedded neurological routines that dictate a surprising amount of our daily behavior. While often dismissed as mundane, these automated actions hold the key to both our biggest struggles and our greatest potential. But what if understanding the hidden science behind habit formation could allow you to intentionally design your life, making success almost effortless and breaking free from patterns that hold you back? The core concept we're exploring is the power of habit, a psychological phenomenon rooted in the brain's incredible drive for efficiency. Your brain is a lazy genius. It constantly seeks ways to conserve energy. When it encounters a situation repeatedly, it begins to automate the sequence of actions, thoughts, and emotions associated with it, converting conscious effort into subconscious routine. This frees up cognitive resources for novel situations. This process creates neural pathways that become stronger with each repetition, making the habit easier and more automatic to perform over time. To grasp the mechanism, think of habit formation as a three-step loop. Cue, routine, reward. The cue is the trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode and which habit to use. This could be a time of day, a location, a specific emotion, or even the presence of certain people. For example, seeing your running shoes cue might trigger the urge to go for a run. The routine is the behavior itself, the physical, mental, or emotional action you take. This is the running. The reward is the positive feeling or outcome that your brain gets from completing the routine, which reinforces the loop and makes it more likely to happen again in the future. This could be the runner's high, the feeling of accomplishment, or simply ticking off a goal. Your brain constantly seeks rewards, and if a routine consistently delivers a positive outcome, the neural connections linking the cue and routine become incredibly strong, leading to automaticity. It's why unhealthy habits are so sticky, even if the long-term consequences are negative. The immediate reward, the taste of junk food. The temporary distraction of scrolling is enough to reinforce the loop. The consequences and impact of understanding the habit loop are transformative. On the one hand, bad habits can subtly erode your well-being, health, and productivity. They operate beneath the surface, driving procrastination, unhealthy eating, negative self-talk, and countless other detrimental patterns, often leaving you feeling powerless to change. You might want to exercise, but the habit of watching TV after work is stronger. On the other hand, good habits are the building blocks of extraordinary lives. They allow you to achieve goals, maintain discipline, and consistently move forward without relying on willpower, which is a finite resource. Imagine if waking up early, exercising, meditating, or focusing on your most important tasks were as automatic as brushing your teeth. This is the true power of habit. It allows you to automate success, making progress inevitable rather than a constant struggle. It shifts the burden from conscious effort to subconscious efficiency. So, how do you automate your success and intentionally build habits that serve you? The key lies in deliberately engineering the habit loop. First, identify your cues and rewards. For an unwanted habit, what triggers it? What temporary payoff do you get? For a desired habit, what reliable cue can you associate with it? And what genuine reward can you link to its completion? Make your cues obvious for good habits and invisible for bad ones. For example, lay out your workout clothes the night before obvious cue is cue. Second, make the desired routine easy. Reduce friction as much as possible. If you want to read more, keep a book next to your bed. If you want to eat healthier, pre-chop vegetables. For bad habits, increase friction. Want to scroll less? Delete the app from your phone's home screen or log out of social media every time. This simple change in your environment significantly impacts your likelihood of success. Third, engineer compelling rewards. The reward doesn't have to be grand. It could be a moment of quiet satisfaction, a small treat, or simply tracking your progress and seeing the streak grow. The critical part is that the reward must be immediate and personally meaningful enough to reinforce the neural pathway. This is why habit tracking apps can be so effective. Seeing that unbroken chain becomes its own powerful reward. Finally, practice identity-based habits. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, I want to write a book. Focus on who you want to become. I am a writer. This shifts your motivation from external outcomes to internal identity, making the desired routine an expression of who you are, not just something you have to do. By consciously dissecting and reconstructing the cue routine reward loop, you don't just try to change. You create the conditions for lasting, automatic change, truly unlocking the profound power of habit to shape your destiny. Have you ever felt mentally exhausted after a day filled with complex decisions, endless emails, or constant multitasking, or found yourself making silly mistakes when you're under pressure, even on tasks you usually ace? It's a common experience in our information-saturated world to feel like our brains are running on empty, unable to process everything thrown our way. But what if this feeling of overwhelm isn't a sign of personal failing, but rather a fundamental limit to how much information your brain can actively hold and process at any given moment? Understanding this hidden truth about your mental capacity can unlock strategies to optimize your thinking, reduce stress, and dramatically improve your focus and decision-making. The core concept at play here is cognitive load. This refers to the total amount of mental effort being used in working memory. Working memory is like your brain's temporary scratch pad, where you hold and manipulate information actively to solve problems, make decisions, or understand new concepts. Unlike long-term memory, which has a vast, almost limitless capacity, working memory is severely limited. It can only hold a small number of chunks of information, typically around 4 to 7, for a very short period of time. When the amount of information or complexity of a task exceeds this limited capacity, your cognitive load becomes too high, leading to mental fatigue, errors, and a breakdown in performance. To understand the mechanism, picture your working memory as a small, brightly lit stage in a vast, dark theater. Only a few actors, pieces of information can be on that stage and actively interacting at any one time. The rest of the information is waiting in the wings, long-term memory, or external environment. When too many actors try to cram onto the stage, or when the script becomes too complex, the performance falters. Your brain has 3 main types of cognitive load. Intrinsic load is inherent to the complexity of the information itself. Learning a very complex scientific theory. Extraneous load is caused by the way information is presented, or by unnecessary distractions, trying to learn while being constantly interrupted, or watching a poorly designed presentation with too much text and irrelevant images. Germane load is the good kind of load. It's the mental effort involved in processing information deeply and building new mental schemas, leading to true understanding and learning. When your cognitive load is primarily extraneous, your brain is working hard but not effectively, leading to exhaustion without deep learning. The consequences and impact of high cognitive load are pervasive in your personal life. It manifests as decision fatigue. After a long day of making choices, even simple decisions feel overwhelming. It leads to procrastination because tasks feel too mentally taxing to start. It impairs learning, as your brain simply can't process new information efficiently. In a professional setting, it can lead to mistakes, reduced creativity, and burnout. Employees juggling too many tasks, or managers trying to process too much data simultaneously, become less effective. The negative impact is a constant feeling of being overwhelmed, reduced mental clarity, and diminished performance. The positive impact, however, lies in recognizing this limitation. Once you understand that your mental capacity is finite, you can intentionally design your work and life to respect this limit, leading to greater efficiency, deeper focus, and significantly less mental strain. So, how do you optimize your thinking and manage your cognitive load effectively? The first strategy is chunking. Break down complex information or large tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. Instead of thinking about writing an entire report, focus on writing just one section, then one paragraph. This reduces the number of items your working memory needs to hold simultaneously. Second, reduce extraneous load. Eliminate distractions from your environment. Close unnecessary browser tabs. Put your phone on silent, and find a quiet space. When learning or processing information, look for clear, concise presentations. Avoid multitasking, as it forces your brain to constantly switch contexts, dramatically increasing extraneous load. Focus on one thing at a time. Third, externalize your brain. Don't rely solely on your working memory for remembering everything. Use notebooks, to-do lists, digital tools, and calendars to offload information. Write down ideas, tasks, and appointments, so your brain doesn't have to constantly hold on to them. This frees up your working memory for active processing. Fourth, automate routine tasks where possible. As we discussed with habits, automating simple, repetitive decisions like what to wear or what to eat for breakfast frees up cognitive energy for more important choices. Finally, take strategic breaks. Your working memory needs time to reset. Short, regular breaks, even 5 to 10 minutes away from your screen, can significantly reduce mental fatigue and replenish your cognitive reserves, allowing you to return to tasks with renewed focus and clarity. By respecting your brain's finite capacity and implementing these strategies, you don't just work harder, you work smarter, optimizing your thinking to truly unlock your intellectual potential. Have you ever noticed how slumping your shoulders can make you feel more tired or defeated, even if nothing else has changed? Or how striking a power pose can genuinely boost your confidence before a big presentation? We often assume that our thoughts and emotions are purely products of our brains, operating independently of our physical bodies. We see the body as a vehicle carrying the mind. But what if this conventional view is incomplete? What if your body isn't just a vessel for your brain, but an active, indispensable participant in your very processes of thinking, feeling, and perceiving the world? This intriguing concept is known as embodied cognition. It's the revolutionary idea that our cognitive processes, including our thoughts, perceptions, memories, and even abstract concepts, are deeply rooted in, influenced by, and intricately linked to our bodily experiences, sensory inputs, motor actions, and physical states. It challenges the traditional view that the mind is entirely separate from the body, suggesting instead that cognition arises from the dynamic interplay between the brain, the body, and the environment. Your physical interactions literally shape your mental landscape. To understand the mechanism, consider your body not as a passive recipient of brain commands, but as an active feedback loop system, constantly communicating with your mind. When you smile, even a forced one, your brain receives signals from your facial muscles that can actually trigger feelings of happiness. When you stand tall and expansive, your body sends signals to your brain that can reduce cortisol stress hormone and increase testosterone associated with confidence, leading to a measurable change in your psychological state. This isn't just about feeling better. It's about your body providing crucial sensory and motor information that constructs your understanding of the world. For instance, Abstract concepts often derive from concrete bodily experiences. Understanding is linked to grasping a physical action, and weighing an idea connects to the physical sensation of weight. Your brain doesn't just process information about the world. It processes information through your physical engagement with the world. This is why learning by doing is often more effective than passive listening. Your body's movements and sensations are integral to forming robust memories and understandings. The consequences and impact of embodied cognition are profound, extending far beyond simple mood boosts. On the one hand, ignoring this connection means we miss powerful levers for personal change. We might struggle with negative emotions or self-defeating thoughts, unaware that a simple change in posture or breathing could initiate a shift. It explains why people who feel stuck physically often feel stuck mentally, or why physical pain can profoundly affect cognitive function. On the other hand, embracing embodied cognition offers immediate, accessible strategies for influencing your mind. It empowers you to proactively engage your physical self to enhance your mental performance, manage stress, boost creativity, and even improve decision-making. Imagine being able to think clearer simply by adjusting your breathing, or feel more confident by changing your stance. This truth reveals that our mental state isn't solely generated internally. It's a dynamic interplay with our physical being. So, how do you think with your body and apply this insight to unlock your potential? The first practical application is power posing, or adopting expansive, open postures. Before a challenging meeting or a moment when you need confidence, stand tall, hands on hips, or arms spread wide for 2 minutes. Research suggests this can actually alter your neurochemistry and make you feel more powerful and less anxious. Similarly, if you want to feel more open and receptive in a conversation, literally open your posture. Second, practice conscious breathing. Your breath is a direct link between your body and your autonomic nervous system. Slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, signaling safety and calm to your brain. When stressed, consciously slow your breath. This bodily action sends powerful signals that can quiet an anxious mind. Third, incorporate movement into thinking. If you're stuck on a problem, go for a walk. The physical act of walking has been shown to boost creative thinking and problem solving. This isn't just about a change of scenery. It's the physical movement stimulating new neural connections and allowing your brain to process information differently. Fourth, leverage sensory input. To improve focus, consider using specific scents like peppermint or rosemary, or certain types of music. To calm yourself, engage your senses with soothing textures or warm drinks. These physical sensations provide direct input to your brain, influencing your mental state. Finally, become more body aware. Pay attention to the subtle cues your body is sending. Is tension building in your shoulders? Are you holding your breath? By noticing these physical sensations, you gain early warning signals about your mental state and can intervene sooner. By consciously integrating your physical self into your mental strategies, you tap into a powerful, often overlooked, dimension of human cognition, truly thinking with your whole being. Have you ever found your mind wandering off into a pleasant daydream during a tedious meeting? Or suddenly stumbled upon a brilliant solution to a problem while taking a shower in our fast-paced, productivity-obsessed world? Mind wandering is often seen as a sign of distraction, a lack of focus, or even laziness. We're constantly encouraged to stay present and focus. But what if these moments of apparent idleness when your mind seems to be doing nothing in particular, are actually crucial for creativity, self-reflection, and even solidifying your sense of self. What if there's a powerful, hidden network in your brain that becomes active precisely when you're not focused on an external task? A network that holds the key to unlocking deeper insights and personal growth. This fascinating phenomenon is governed by what neuroscientists call the default mode network DMN. This is a collection of interconnected brain regions that become most active when your mind is not engaged in a specific, goal-directed task that requires external focus. Instead, it fires up when you are daydreaming, contemplating the future, reflecting on the past, thinking about others' perspectives, considering your own identity, or simply letting your mind wander. Far from being off task, the DMN is critically involved in internal thought processes, self-referential thinking, and narrative construction. To understand the mechanism, imagine your brain as having two primary operating modes: the task-positive network, TPN, which is active when you're focused on external tasks, and the DMN, which takes over when the TPN is less active. Think of the DMN as your brain's internal narrative processor, or its creative incubator. When you're not busy reacting to the immediate environment, the DMN begins to weave together memories, insights, and future possibilities. It's during these moments that your brain might consolidate learning, connect seemingly disparate ideas, practice social scenarios, or solidify your sense of personal identity and values. For example, when you're driving a familiar route and your mind drifts, the DMN might be busy replaying a conversation from yesterday, mentally planning your next vacation, or pondering the meaning of a recent event. This spontaneous activity is vital for imagination, planning, and maintaining a coherent sense of self across time. It's also why many people have their aha moments when they step away from a problem. The DMN kicks in and starts making novel connections. The consequences and impact of understanding the DMN are significant. On the negative side, if we constantly suppress mind wandering by being perpetually stimulated, always checking our phones, listening to podcasts, or watching videos, we might be stifling these essential internal processes. Over-reliance on external stimulation can weaken the DMN's ability to engage in deep self-reflection, creative problem-solving, and emotional processing, potentially leading to a feeling of being disconnected from oneself or a lack of clarity about personal goals. On the positive side, recognizing the DMN's role transforms our view of downtime. It validates the importance of boredom, stillness, and undirected thought. It suggests that deliberately allowing your mind to wander is not a waste of time, but a powerful act of cognitive cultivation, essential for mental well-being, innovation, and deeper self-understanding. It's a powerful tool for unlocking the hidden work your brain does when you give it space. So, how do you harness your daydreams and intentionally leverage the power of your default mode network? The first strategy is to consciously schedule white space in your day. This means blocks of time with no specific task, no external inputs, and no agenda. It could be a walk without headphones, gazing out a window, or simply sitting quietly. Resist the urge to fill every spare moment with external stimulation. This allows your DMN to become active and do its important internal work. Second, embrace structured idleness. Engage in activities that are repetitive, require minimal conscious effort, and allow your mind to drift. This could be washing dishes, taking a shower, knitting, or walking in nature. These activities provide just enough engagement to prevent boredom from becoming unpleasant, while still allowing the DMN to freely associate and connect ideas. Third, practice mindful pauses. Throughout your day, take short breaks, even 1 to 2 minutes, to simply observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment or agenda. Don't try to control where your mind goes. Just notice its natural flow. This can bring surprising insights and reduce mental clutter. Fourth, journaling or free association writing can be a way to capture the output of your DMN. When ideas or reflections emerge during your downtime, jot them down without editing. This can help you externalize and process the insights generated by this powerful network. Finally, reframe your perception of boredom. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, view it as a signal that your DMN is ready to engage in its important work. By consciously creating space for your mind to wander and reflect, you aren't just taking a break. You're actively engaging one of your brain's most profound systems for creativity, insight, and self-discovery. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt more relaxed because of the soft lighting and gentle music? Or perhaps found yourself thinking about money more after seeing an advertisement with dollar signs? We often believe our thoughts and decisions are born from conscious, logical reasoning, a direct response to the information explicitly presented to us. But what if there are subtle, often imperceptible cues in our environment that can profoundly influence our thinking, our emotions, and even our behavior, all without our conscious awareness? What if your perceptions are constantly being shaped by forces you don't even realize are at play? This powerful psychological phenomenon is known as priming. In essence, priming occurs when exposure to one stimulus influences how you respond to a subsequent stimulus. It's a form of implicit memory, meaning it happens unconsciously and can affect your thoughts, feelings, and actions without you being aware of the initial trigger or its effect. Your brain is constantly making connections and associations, and priming leverages these existing networks. To understand the mechanism, imagine your brain as a vast, interconnected web of concepts, ideas, and experiences, much like a giant spider web. When one part of the web is touched or activated, the prime, vibrations spread throughout the entire network, subtly pre-activating related concepts and making them more accessible and likely to be used in subsequent thoughts or actions. For example, if you're shown the word doctor, the prime, you're likely to process related words like nurse or hospital more quickly afterwards. This is called semantic priming. But priming goes much deeper. If you're exposed to words associated with elderly, e.g., Florida, bingo, wrinkle, you might unconsciously walk more slowly afterward, even if you don't consciously register the words. This is behavioral priming. Or, if you hold a warm cup of coffee, a physical prime, you might perceive a person you're meeting as warmer and more trustworthy than if you were holding a cold drink. Your brain makes immediate, unconscious associations, and these associations influence your subsequent interpretations and behaviors. It's an incredibly efficient way for the brain to prepare for relevant information, but it also makes us susceptible to subtle influence. The consequences and impact of priming are ubiquitous, affecting everything from marketing to social interactions. On the negative side, priming is a powerful tool for subtle manipulation. Advertisers use it to associate products with feelings of success or happiness. Political campaigns prime voters with specific words or images to evoke desired emotional responses. In daily life, negative news headlines can prime you for anxiety, making you interpret everyday events more pessimistically. Being unaware of priming means you can be unconsciously swayed, making decisions or forming opinions based on subtle cues rather than objective facts. On the positive side, understanding priming empowers you to become a more conscious consumer of information and to intentionally create environments that prime you for success. It shows you how to strategically use your environment and internal dialogue to cultivate desired states of mind, enhance creativity, and improve performance. It reveals that you have a significant degree of control over your subconscious influences. So, how do you shape your perceptions and apply the power of priming to unlock your potential? The first step is to curate your environment. Recognize that everything you see, hear, and experience primes your brain. If you want to be productive, create a workspace free of distracting clutter. If you want to cultivate peace, surround yourself with calming colors and sounds. If you want to think creatively, expose yourself to novel and inspiring images. Be mindful of the media you consume, as constant exposure to negativity will prime your brain for worry and fear. Second, practice self-priming. This involves intentionally exposing yourself to stimuli that activate desired thoughts, emotions, or behaviors. Before a challenging task, review your past successes or read inspirational quotes. If you want to be more compassionate, spend a few moments thinking about someone you love. Before a creative session, look at art or listen to music that evokes a sense of wonder. Your internal dialogue is a powerful prime. Speaking positively to yourself can prime your brain for optimism and resilience. Third, anchor positive states. Pair a specific physical action or sensory input with a desired emotional state. For example, every time you feel a surge of gratitude, take a deep breath and lightly squeeze your thumb and forefinger together. Over time, that physical action can become a prime that quickly accesses the feeling of gratitude. Fourth, develop critical awareness of external primes. When you encounter an advertisement, a political speech, or a new piece of information, ask yourself, what is this trying to make me feel or think? What subtle cues are being used? This critical thinking helps you become less susceptible to unconscious manipulation. By consciously leveraging the subtle yet profound power of priming, you don't just react to the world. You actively, intentionally, shape your perceptions and prepare your mind for the reality you wish to create. Have you ever walked into a room where someone was visibly angry and without a word being spoken, you felt a ripple of tension or irritation wash over you? Or perhaps you've been in a group where one person's genuine laughter became infectious, quickly spreading joy to everyone present. It's a common, almost mystical experience. The way emotions seem to jump from person to person, influencing the collective atmosphere. We often think of emotions as intensely personal, confined within our own minds and bodies. But what if emotions are far more fluid and transmissible than we imagine? Capable of spreading like a virus, shaping not only your internal state, but also the dynamics of every interaction you have. This fascinating and powerful phenomenon is known as emotional contagion. At its core, emotional contagion is the tendency to feel and express emotions similar to those of people around us, often unconsciously and automatically. It's the psychological equivalent of catching a cold. But instead of a virus, you're catching someone else's mood or emotional state. This isn't just about empathy, which is understanding another's feelings. Emotional contagion is about actually experiencing similar feelings. To understand the mechanism, picture your brain as a highly sophisticated, yet incredibly sensitive, emotional antenna. When you interact with others, especially face-to-face, your brain is constantly, and largely unconsciously, picking up on a vast array of subtle cues, facial expressions, vocal tone, body posture, gestures, and even physiological changes like breathing patterns. Your brain has mirror neurons, which fire not only when you perform an action, but also when you observe someone else performing it. Similarly, when you see someone expressing an emotion, your brain's emotional centers can activate as if you were experiencing that emotion yourself. For example, if you see someone smile, your own facial muscles might subtly mimic that smile, and this physical feedback then triggers the associated feeling of happiness in your own brain. This rapid automatic mimicry, often below the threshold of conscious awareness, is the primary driver of emotional contagion. It's a primal, evolutionary mechanism that helps us bond with others, coordinate group behavior, and respond quickly to social cues, whether they signal threat or safety. The consequences and impact of emotional contagion are profound, affecting every facet of our social and personal lives. On the negative side, being constantly exposed to negative emotions, such as anxiety, anger, or despair, whether from individuals, news cycles, or social media, can subtly but significantly degrade your own mood, increase stress levels, and even contribute to burnout. Imagine working in an office with a constantly stressed boss, or living with a perpetually pessimistic family member. Their emotions can literally deplete your emotional reserves. This unconscious absorption of negativity can leave you feeling drained without understanding why. On the positive side, emotional contagion is the bedrock of collective joy, inspiration, and compassion. It's why motivational speakers can electrify a crowd, why collective laughter is so powerful, and why positive team dynamics can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Understanding this mechanism empowers you to not only protect yourself from unwanted emotional influences, but also to consciously cultivate positive emotional environments for yourself and others, becoming a source of positive emotional energy. So, how do you choose your vibe and apply this understanding to unlock your potential? The first step is to cultivate emotional self-awareness. Before you enter a new environment or interaction, take a moment to check in with your own emotional state. This allows you to differentiate between your own baseline feelings and emotions you might be catching from others. If you suddenly feel anxious without a clear reason, consider who you've just interacted with or what media you've consumed. Second, practice strategic emotional detachment. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring, but rather recognizing when you're absorbing emotions that aren't serving you. When you sense negative emotional contagion, consciously create a slight mental distance. Imagine a protective shield, or visualize the emotion as a wave passing through you, rather than pulling you under. A quick walk, a few deep breaths, or a momentary focus on a neutral object can help break the mimicry cycle. Third, consciously choose your company and inputs. Just as you avoid catching a physical illness, be discerning about who you spend your time with and what media you consume. Seek out people who exude positive emotions, inspiration, and calm. Limit your exposure to overly negative news or highly toxic online environments. This is not about avoidance, but about intentional emotional hygiene. Fourth, become a source of positive contagion. Knowing that emotions spread, consciously project the emotions you wish to experience and see in the world. A genuine smile, a warm greeting, or an optimistic outlook can subtly elevate the mood of those around you. creating a virtuous cycle. Finally, practice physical counter-mimicry. If you find yourself mimicking someone's stressed posture or frown, consciously relax your facial muscles or open your body posture. This physical action can send different signals back to your brain, interrupting the emotional mimicry and helping you maintain your own emotional equilibrium. By understanding and intentionally managing the powerful currents of emotional contagion, you not only protect your inner peace, but also become a beacon for positive change in the world around you. Have you ever found yourself suddenly craving an item simply because it was advertised as limited edition or only a few left in stock? Or perhaps you felt an inexplicable urgency to attend an event when tickets were declared almost sold out. It's a powerful and often irrational pull. This sudden increase in desire for something that is presented as being in short supply. We pride ourselves on rational decision-making, yet time and again, our brains seem to fall prey to this compelling allure of the rare and the dwindling. But what if this isn't a flaw in your judgment, but rather a deeply ingrained psychological trigger, a hidden truth about how your brain assigns value? This pervasive cognitive bias is known as the scarcity principle. In essence, things are perceived as more valuable when their availability is limited or when they are difficult to obtain. The less there is of something, or the harder it is to get, the more we want it. This principle operates on a fundamental human fear of loss and a desire for freedom. When something becomes scarce, our perceived freedom to acquire it is threatened, and this threat motivates us to want it even more. To understand the mechanism, imagine your brain as an ancient resource allocator, wired for survival. In primal times, truly scarce resources like food, water, or mates were genuinely more valuable because they were critical for survival. Our brains evolved to react strongly to scarcity cues, as those who quickly acquired limited resources were more likely to thrive. This ingrained response continues to influence us today, even in contexts far removed from survival. When our brain perceives scarcity, it triggers a rush of cognitive and emotional responses. There's an increased sense of urgency, a heightened feeling of desire, and a tendency to view the item or opportunity as more unique, higher quality, or simply more desirable because others also want it. The perceived loss of not having it becomes more salient than the actual gain of acquiring it. This is why fear of missing out, FOMO, is such a powerful motivator. It's a modern manifestation of the scarcity principle. Furthermore, the brain often associates scarcity with exclusivity, suggesting that if something is rare, it must be better or more prestigious, leading to a biased assessment of its actual worth. The consequences and impact of the scarcity principle are enormous, widely exploited in marketing, sales, and even social dynamics. On the negative side, it can lead to impulsive, irrational decisions, causing you to overpay for items, buy things you don't need, or commit to experiences that aren't truly right for you, simply because you fear missing out. It fuels consumerism and can be a powerful tool for manipulation, creating artificial demand or pressuring you into hasty choices. Think of flash sales, last chance offers, or warnings about limited stock. These are all designed to trigger your scarcity response. On the positive side, understanding this principle empowers you to resist manipulation, make more deliberate choices, and even strategically leverage it ethically in your own endeavors. It highlights how powerful perceived value can be, often outweighing actual utility. So, how do you value what's rare wisely? and apply this understanding to unlock your potential. The first step is to pause and evaluate. When you feel a sudden surge of desire due to perceived scarcity, hit the mental brakes. Ask yourself, do I truly want this opportunity for its intrinsic value? Or is my desire inflated because it's scarce? This conscious moment of reflection can interrupt the automatic scarcity response. Second, focus on intrinsic value, not perceived value. Shift your attention from the fact that something is limited to its actual usefulness, quality, and how it aligns with your needs and values. Would you still want it if it were abundantly available? Would you pay the same price? This helps you separate genuine need from manufactured urgency. Third, research and compare. Don't let the pressure of scarcity prevent you from doing your due diligence. Take time to compare options, read reviews, and consider alternatives. Often, the limited edition item is functionally identical to a widely available alternative. Fourth, question artificial scarcity. Many instances of scarcity are manufactured e.g. limited time offer on an online course that will be reoffered next month. Be skeptical of aggressive marketing tactics that rely heavily on urgency or limited availability. Learn to differentiate genuine scarcity, like a truly unique piece of art, from contrived scarcity. Finally, apply this understanding ethically to your own life and work. If you're offering a unique skill or product, subtly highlighting its rarity or your limited availability can genuinely increase its perceived value, but ensure that the actual value lives up to the perceived value. By understanding and consciously navigating the powerful allure of scarcity, you empower yourself to make more rational choices, resist manipulative tactics, and truly value what truly matters. Have you ever found yourself choosing a restaurant with a long line outside, even if there are empty ones nearby? Or perhaps you've been swayed to buy a product because it had thousands of five-star reviews, even if you hadn't initially intended to make that purchase. In countless situations, we look to the actions and opinions of others to guide our own decisions. We often believe we are independent thinkers, making choices based on our own logic and preferences. But what if there's a powerful, almost irresistible force at play? A hidden truth about human behavior that makes us prone to follow the crowd, often without even realizing it. This pervasive psychological phenomenon is known as social proof. At its core, social proof is the idea that people will conform to the actions of others under the assumption that those actions reflect the correct behavior. When we are uncertain about what to do, especially in ambiguous situations, we tend to look to others for cues on how to behave. The more people who are doing something, the more we perceive it as correct, appropriate, or desirable. It's a mental shortcut that helps us navigate complex social environments by relying on the collective wisdom of the group. To understand the mechanism, imagine your brain as a highly efficient consensus detector. From an evolutionary perspective, following the group was often a safe and adaptive strategy. If everyone else was running from a predator, it was wise to run too. If everyone was gathering berries from a certain bush, it was probably safe to do the same. This ancient wiring means that when we see many people doing something, our brain automatically assumes there must be a good reason for it. This is especially true when we are uncertain, or when the people we are observing are similar to us, e.g., age, profession, interests. The influence of social proof manifests in various ways. Wisdom of the crowds, gunjif nonji, bestseller lists, popular products. Wisdom of friends, donji. Testimonials, social media likes and shares, wisdom of experts, MNG, celebrity endorsements, doctor recommendations, and wisdom of the few, EGG, influencers, early adopters. Our brain processes these signals as powerful indicators of validity, trustworthiness, or value, leading us to adopt similar behaviors or beliefs without much critical thought. The consequences and impact of social proof are immense, shaping everything from consumer choices to social norms and even public opinion. On the negative side, unchecked social proof can lead to herd mentality, where individuals follow the crowd even when the collective action is irrational, harmful, or goes against their better judgment. Think of financial bubbles, dangerous social media trends, or the bystander effect, where individuals fail to act in an emergency because no one else is acting. It can also lead to superficial choices, where popularity is mistaken for quality or suitability, causing you to buy products or adopt ideas that aren't truly right for you. It's a powerful tool for manipulation, as marketers and political strategists can create the illusion of popularity to sway public opinion. On the positive side, social proof is a powerful force for good. It can encourage positive behaviors like recycling or charitable giving, build trust in new ideas or products, and help foster community and belonging. Understanding it allows you to both protect yourself from its downsides and ethically leverage its power. So, how do you navigate the crowd wisely and apply this understanding to unlock your potential? The first step is to cultivate independent thinking. When you notice yourself being swayed by popularity or consensus, pause and consciously ask, is this truly the best choice for me? Regardless of what others are doing, what are the underlying facts or merits, independent of social validation? This helps you separate genuine value from perceived popularity. Second, seek diverse perspectives. Instead of relying solely on the most popular reviews or opinions, actively seek out a range of viewpoints, especially from those who might hold dissenting opinions. This broadens your understanding and reduces the risk of falling into an echo chamber. Challenge yourself to understand why someone might hold a different view. Third, be wary of manipulated social proof. Recognize that social proof can be faked or exaggerated. GG. Fake reviews. Bot accounts on social media. Develop a critical eye for authenticity. Look for specific details, genuine language, and a balance of perspectives, rather than just raw numbers. Fourth, evaluate the context and similarity. Social proof is strongest when the people exhibiting the behavior are similar to you, or when the situation is ambiguous. Ask yourself, are these people truly like me? Do they share my values and goals? Is the situation genuinely ambiguous? Or am I just feeling lazy about doing my own research? Finally, be a source of authentic social proof. If you truly believe in a product, idea, or cause, share your genuine experience and rationale. Your authentic endorsement can ethically influence others, contributing to a positive collective impact, rather than simply following a trend. By understanding the powerful currents of social proof, you empower yourself to make more intentional choices, lead with conviction, and become a discerning navigator in a world increasingly shaped by the crowd. Have you ever noticed how the same information, presented in slightly different ways, can lead you to completely different conclusions or evoke vastly different emotional responses? Imagine being told a surgery has a 90% success rate versus being told it has a 10% failure rate. While statistically identical, your perception of risk and safety likely changes dramatically. We often believe we interpret information objectively, logically weighing facts to arrive at a reasoned judgment. But what if the very language used, the context provided, or the emphasis placed on certain aspects of a message subtly but powerfully steers your brain's interpretation, effectively framing your reality before you even consciously process the facts? This powerful cognitive bias is known as the framing effect. It describes how the way information is presented, or framed, can significantly influence the choices people make and the conclusions they draw, even if the underlying objective information remains the same. It's not about what is said, but how it's said, which can alter your perception of gain or loss, risk or safety, and ultimately, your decision. To understand the mechanism, imagine your brain as a sculptor of meaning. When it receives information, it doesn't just absorb raw data. It actively constructs a narrative or interpretation around it. The frame acts like a subtle lens or a spotlight, directing your attention to specific aspects of the information while downplaying others. Our brains are highly sensitive to whether a choice is framed in terms of gains, e.d. you save $100, or losses, e.d. you lose $100 if you don't act. People are generally more risk-averse when a choice is framed in terms of gains, preferring a sure gain over a risky one, and more risk-seeking when a choice is framed in terms of losses, preferring to gamble to avoid a sure loss. This is a core insight from prospect theory. Furthermore, the framing can emphasize positive attributes, 80% lean meat versus negative ones, 20% fat, or highlight benefits versus costs, or even use specific metaphors that subtly influence perception. This unconscious influence happens because the initial frame activates certain neural pathways and emotional responses, making it harder for your brain to consider alternative interpretations. It feels natural and logical because the frame has already set the stage for how you should feel or decide. The consequences and impact of the framing effect are profound and pervasive, influencing everything from personal finance to public policy. On the negative side, being unaware of the framing effect makes you highly susceptible to manipulation. Marketers frame prices as monthly payments to make large sums seem smaller, or offer buy one, get one free deals a gain frame even if the initial price is inflated. Politicians frame policies in ways that evoke fear or hope to garner support. In personal relationships, the way you frame a request or a complaint can dramatically alter how it's received, potentially leading to misunderstandings or conflict. It can lead to irrational decisions, making you avoid a perfectly safe option because its risks were emphasized, or take on unnecessary risks because the potential gains were highlighted. On the positive side, understanding the framing effect empowers you to recognize when you are being influenced and, crucially, to intentionally frame situations in ways that promote positive emotions, clearer thinking, and more effective communication for yourself and others. So, how do you redefine your reality and apply this understanding to unlock your potential? The first step is to identify the frame. When presented with information, especially when making a decision, consciously ask yourself, how is this information being presented to me? Is it emphasizing gains or losses, positive or negative attributes? What might be left out or downplayed? This critical awareness helps you see beyond the initial presentation. Second, reframe for clarity and empowerment. If a situation is framed negatively, consciously reframe it positively. For instance, instead of thinking, I have to go to this boring meeting, reframe it as, I get to contribute to this discussion and learn something new. Instead of "I failed," reframe as "I learned valuable lessons." This intentional reframing shifts your emotional and cognitive response, turning perceived obstacles into opportunities. Third, seek alternative frames. Don't just accept the first way information is presented. Actively consider how the same facts could be presented differently. How would a pessimistic person frame this? An optimistic person? A neutral observer? This broadens your perspective and allows for more balanced decision-making. Fourth, focus on objective data first. Before allowing any framing to influence you, try to strip away the language and presentation and look at the raw facts and figures. What are the undeniable realities of the situation? Build your understanding from this objective base. Then consider different frames. Finally, use constructive framing in your communication. When you communicate with others, especially in persuasive or challenging situations, consciously choose your words and emphasis to frame the message in a way that fosters understanding, collaboration, and positive action. For example, instead of focusing on what went wrong, frame a discussion around what can be learned and how to move forward. By mastering the art of the framing effect, you don't just react to the reality presented to you. You actively, intentionally, redefine your reality and unlock the power to influence your own mind and the minds of others more effectively. Have you ever wondered why certain habits, even deeply unhealthy ones like gambling or compulsively checking your phone, can be so incredibly difficult to break? Even when the rewards are inconsistent or elusive, or why people persist in difficult relationships where positive moments are rare but intensely memorable. We often assume that consistent rewards are the key to reinforcing behavior. But what if the most powerful kind of reinforcement is actually the unpredictable kind? A hidden truth that makes certain behaviors incredibly sticky and resilient to extinction. This incredibly powerful psychological principle is known as intermittent reinforcement, specifically a variable ratio schedule of reinforcement. In essence, it means that a behavior is rewarded only occasionally, at unpredictable intervals, rather than every single time it occurs. Unlike continuous reinforcement, where every response is rewarded, which leads to quick learning, but also quick extinction once the reward stops. Intermittent reinforcement creates behaviors that are highly resistant to extinction, making them incredibly persistent and difficult to break. To understand the mechanism, imagine your brain not just as a reward seeker, but as a pattern-seeking detective that thrives on anticipation. When a reward is delivered intermittently and unpredictably, your brain enters a state of high alert and heightened expectation. It creates a powerful hope circuit. Each instance of the behavior becomes a pull of the lever on a slot machine. You don't know when the jackpot will hit, but you know it could hit on this attempt. This uncertainty actually makes the behavior more compelling, not less. The dopamine system, as we discussed earlier, is particularly activated by anticipation of reward, especially when that reward is uncertain. When the reward eventually arrives after many attempts, it feels incredibly potent and reinforces the belief that, if I just keep going, it will pay off again. This creates a powerful, almost unbreakable link between the action and the hope of reward, making the behavior incredibly resistant to extinction, even through long periods without reward. It's a mechanism that fuels persistence, for better or worse. The consequences and impact of intermittent reinforcement are vast, explaining why some of the most addictive human behaviors are those with unpredictable payoffs. On the negative side, it's the core principle behind the addictive nature of gambling. You don't win every time, but the occasional win keeps you hooked. Social media, the unpredictable likes and notifications keep you scrolling, and even toxic relationships. The rare moments of affection or validation keep hope alive despite consistent negativity. It can lead to immense frustration, wasted time, and an inability to disengage from unrewarding patterns. Precisely because the occasional, unpredictable positive reinforces the belief that this time it will be different. It drains energy and perpetuates cycles of disappointment. On the positive side, understanding this principle offers a profound insight into building unbreakable resilience. It shows you how to design self-improvement strategies that leverage this power, making positive habits incredibly robust and helping you persist through challenges without losing motivation. It reveals the secret to developing profound grit and perseverance. So, how do you build unbreakable resilience and apply this understanding to unlock your potential? The first step is to identify intermittent negative reinforcement in your life. Where are you persistently engaging in behaviors that yield rare, unpredictable positive outcomes, but mostly negative ones? Recognize these traps. For instance, if you constantly chase validation from someone who rarely gives it, you're caught in this loop. Awareness is the first step to disarming its power. Second, design your own intermittent positive reinforcement for habits you want to build. Make the rewards unpredictable. For instance, if you're trying to exercise regularly, don't reward yourself every time. Instead, have a system where a significant reward, a new book, a special treat is given after a randomly determined number of workouts, or at unpredictable times. This keeps the anticipation high and the motivation strong, even through periods of less immediate gratification. Third, embrace the dip and the plateau. In any long-term endeavor, learning, building a business, personal growth, there will be periods where progress isn't immediately visible or rewarded. Understanding intermittent reinforcement helps you realize that these dry spells are natural. Your brain might be expecting a continuous reward, but learning to persist through these periods of uncertainty builds incredible mental fortitude. View the struggle not as a sign to quit, but as a part of the process where the biggest gains in resilience are forged. Fourth, focus on the intrinsic reward of the process. While external intermittent reinforcement is powerful, cultivate satisfaction from the act itself, regardless of immediate external payoffs. Find joy in the learning, the effort, the consistency. This creates a dual layer of motivation, making your pursuit even more robust. By intentionally leveraging intermittent reinforcement for positive ends and protecting yourself from its negative influences, you don't just persevere, you build a profound, unbreakable resilience that will serve you in every facet of your journey toward unlocking your fullest potential. Have you ever walked into a room feeling convinced that everyone was staring at your new haircut, or noticed a small stain on your shirt and felt an intense flush of embarrassment, imagining every eye was on it? We often navigate social situations with a heightened sense of self-consciousness, believing that our every move, flaw, and triumph is under intense scrutiny from those around us. This feeling can lead to anxiety, hesitation, and a reluctance to fully express ourselves. But what if this pervasive belief, this intense feeling of being observed, is largely an illusion? What if the hidden truth is that people notice you far less than you imagine, liberating you from the shackles of unnecessary self-consciousness? This comforting yet powerful psychological phenomenon is known as the spotlight effect. It's the tendency we have to overestimate how much other people are paying attention to our appearance, behavior, and mistakes. We feel as though there's a bright spotlight shining solely on us, highlighting our every perceived imperfection or social faux pas, when in reality, that spotlight is largely in our own minds. To understand the mechanism, imagine your brain as a highly self-focused projector. Our default setting is to be the center of our own universe. We are constantly immersed in our own thoughts, feelings, and internal narratives. This egocentric bias extends to how we perceive social situations. When we make a mistake or feel awkward, our attention becomes acutely focused on that perceived flaw. We then assume that because it's so prominent in our minds, it must be equally prominent in the minds of everyone else. Furthermore, our brains are very good at spotting things that confirm our own anxieties, a subtle form of confirmation bias. If you feel self-conscious about a new outfit, you might interpret a fleeting glance from someone as direct scrutiny, when in reality, they might just be looking in your direction without any specific focus on you. The reality is that other people are similarly preoccupied with their own internal worlds, their own concerns, their own spotlights. They are busy running their own mental show, not yours. The consequences and impact of the spotlight effect are significant. On the negative side, it fuels social anxiety, leading to unnecessary worry about how you are perceived. It can prevent you from taking risks, speaking up, pursuing opportunities, or simply being your authentic self, all out of fear of judgment or embarrassment. You might hold back from sharing an idea in a meeting, avoid wearing something you love, or hesitate to approach someone new because you wrongly believe that every tiny detail about you is being critically analyzed. This self-imposed pressure can stifle creativity, reduce spontaneity, and diminish overall life satisfaction. On the positive side, understanding the spotlight effect is incredibly liberating. It reveals that the vast majority of your social anxieties are unfounded, freeing you to act with greater confidence, authenticity, and peace of mind. It allows you to shift your focus from constant self-monitoring to genuinely engaging with the world and others. So, how do you free yourself from self-consciousness and apply this understanding to unlock your potential? The first and most crucial step is conscious acknowledgement and reality testing. When you feel that surge of self-consciousness, pause and tell yourself, this is the spotlight effect. People are not paying as much attention as I think. Then, actively look for evidence. How many people are actually looking at me? Are their expressions genuinely critical, or are they neutral? Often, you'll find that the spotlight is far dimmer than you imagined. Second, practice shifting your focus outward. When you find yourself getting caught in self-scrutiny, deliberately direct your attention to others and your surroundings. What are they saying? What are they doing? What's interesting about the environment? This external focus pulls you out of your internal, self-obsessed loop and allows you to be more present and engaged. Third, embrace good enough. Striving for perfection often magnifies the spotlight effect. Accept that occasional mistakes or imperfections are human. No one is constantly perfect, and most people are forgiving of minor slips. Give yourself permission to be less than flawless, and trust that others are likely too busy with their own lives to notice or care about your tiny imperfections. Fourth, practice vulnerability in small doses. Intentionally do something slightly imperfect in a low-stakes situation. Wear mismatched socks, make a slightly quirky comment, or admit a minor mistake. When you see that the world doesn't end and people don't react with the intense judgment you feared, it provides concrete evidence to your brain that the spotlight is less powerful than you thought. Finally, cultivate empathetic perspective-taking. Remember that just as you are preoccupied with your own internal world, so are others. They are likely feeling their own version of the spotlight effect, worrying about their own appearance or performance. This realization can foster compassion for yourself and others, reducing the intensity of self-consciousness for everyone. By truly internalizing the truth of the spotlight effect, you don't just gain a cognitive insight, you gain a profound sense of liberation, allowing you to step out from under the imaginary glare and truly shine as your authentic self. We've embarked on an extraordinary journey, delving deep into the hidden mechanics of the human brain, peeling back layers of misconception to reveal 15 profound truths that govern our psychology and behavior. From the subtle power of predictive coding to the liberating insight of the spotlight effect, each revelation has offered a new lens through which to view yourself and the world around you. We've seen that your brain is not a static, mysterious black box, but a dynamic, adaptable, and incredibly powerful instrument, constantly shaping your reality, often beneath the surface of your conscious awareness. Remember how we explored the brain's predictive power, learning that your mind is constantly forecasting the future, and how understanding this can transform your decision-making by allowing you to proactively influence your expectations. Then we journeyed into neuroplasticity, discovering that your brain can literally rewire itself, offering a revolutionary path to reshape your habits, beliefs, and even recover from challenges. We unveiled the secrets of the dopamine loop, showing how understanding its role in motivation and anticipation can help you master your desires instead of being driven by them, guiding you toward true fulfillment. We then examined confirmation bias, the hidden filter that causes your brain to selectively seek out information that confirms what you already believe, and how to actively break free from these preconceptions to embrace new perspectives. The profound power of habit was revealed, demonstrating how automating positive routines can lead to effortless personal growth, freeing up precious willpower for what truly matters. We looked at cognitive load, recognizing the limits of your working memory, and how to optimize your thinking for greater efficiency and less mental fatigue. Our exploration continued with embodied cognition, revealing the surprising connection between your physical state and your mental processes, offering tangible ways to influence your mind simply by changing your body. We celebrated the default mode network, validating the crucial role of mind wandering and downtime for creativity, self-reflection, and deeper insight. Then, we understood priming, the subtle cues that can unconsciously shape your perceptions, empowering you to consciously set your mental stage for success. We delved into emotional contagion, recognizing how emotions spread from person to person, equipping you with the tools to choose your emotional environment and become a source of positive influence. The powerful allure of the scarcity principle taught us how the perception of limited availability inflates desire, and how to make more rational choices by focusing on intrinsic value. We navigated the currents of social proof, understanding why we conform to the crowd and how to cultivate independent thinking in a world shaped by collective influence. And finally, we uncovered the subtle yet potent influence of the framing effect, recognizing how the presentation of information can redefine your reality empowering you to consciously reframe your experiences for greater clarity and positivity. The journey concluded with intermittent reinforcement, revealing why unpredictable rewards create unbreakable persistence, and how to leverage this for building profound resilience in the face of life's challenges, alongside the liberating truth of the spotlight effect, freeing you from the unnecessary burden of self-consciousness. Each of these hidden truths, once brought into the light, serves not as a mere piece of information, but as a tender guide, awakening positive emotions and nurturing your journey of personal blossoming. You are not a passive recipient of your brain's whims. You are an active participant, capable of understanding, influencing, and gently steering its remarkable capabilities. By embracing these insights, you are given the profound gift of choice, the choice to respond consciously rather than react automatically, to cultivate habits that serve your highest good, to see beyond your inherent biases, and to design a life that truly reflects your deepest aspirations. The real transformation begins now. As you carry these truths forward, they are not just concepts to be remembered, but tools to be wielded with grace and intention. Your brain, with all its fascinating complexities and hidden powers, is your greatest asset. It holds the blueprint for your potential, waiting to be fully unlocked. Embrace its quirks, understand its mechanisms, and use this profound knowledge to embark on a path of continuous self-discovery and profound personal growth. The journey inward is the most vital one, and with these keys, your potential is truly limitless.